Good afternoon. It is Thursday, January the 18th. We're going to go straight into the King James Bible, book of Genesis. We're going into chapter 18. And I'm going to add a couple of little comments as we go through because I want you to note something and then we're going to go back and talk about it. It's going to be interesting. Chapter 18. And the Lord, this is in all capital letters, appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door, and bowed himself toward the ground, and said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And I will fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort ye your hearts. After that you shall pass on. For therefore are you come to your servant. And they said, So do, as thou hast said. And Abraham hastened into the tent unto Sarah, and said, Make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes upon the hearth. And Abraham ran unto the herd, and fetched a calf tender and good, and gave it unto a young man, and then he hasted to dress it. And he took butter and milk, and the calf which he had dressed, and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. And they said unto him, Where is Sarah thy wife? And he said, Behold, in the tent. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee according to the time of life. And lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. And Sarah heard it in the tent door, which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken with age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, After I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord being old also? And the Lord, all capital letters, said unto Abraham, Wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, Shall I be a surety bear a child which am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? Again, all capital letters. At the time appointed I will return unto thee, according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laughed not, for she was afraid. And he said, Nay, but thou didst laugh. And the men rose up from thence, and looked toward Sodom. And Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. And the Lord said, again, capital letters, Shall I hide from Abraham the thing which I do? Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord, to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken of him. And the Lord said, Because of the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, I will go down now, and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it which is come unto me, and if not, I will know. And the men turned their faces from thence, and went toward Sodom. But Abraham stood yet before the Lord, again, all capital letters. And Abraham drew near and said, Wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Peradventure there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for 50 righteous that are therein? That be far from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, that the righteous should be as the wicked, that be far from thee. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? And the Lord said, If I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes. And Abraham answered and said, Behold now, I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord, which am but dust and ashes. Peradventure there shall lack 5 of the 50 righteous. Wilt thou destroy all the city for the lack of 5? And he said, If I find there 45, I will not destroy it. And he spake unto him yet again, and said, Peradventure there shall be 40 found there. And he said, I will not do it for 40's sake. And he said unto him, O let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Peradventure there should be 30 found there. And he said, I will not do it if I find 30 there. And he said, Behold now, I have taken upon it to me to speak to the Lord. Peradventure there shall be 20 found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 20's sake. And he said, O let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak yet this once. Peradventure 10 shall be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake. And the Lord went his way, as soon as he had left communing with Abraham, and Abraham returned unto his place. We all know that story about sparing, according to 50, 40, 45, 30, 20, 10. But did you notice that 3 people arrived? 2 had gone off to Sodom, but the one stayed. And every time that one is referred to as the Lord is in all capital letters. Now, in the King James Bible, this means God. But of course, Abraham can't look upon God. So yet again, I tell you, this is a sighting of Jesus Christ. Because don't forget, Jesus said, if you see me, you've seen the Father. And yet we know that we can't look upon the Father because our mortal eyes and our bodies are not capable of looking upon the Shekinah glory of God. So Jesus Christ himself manifests as the image that we can look at, or that we could look at. Don't forget, this is before Jesus Christ was born. But here he is, talking to Abraham. That's not God. We can't look upon the Shekinah glory of God. That's another Jesus sighting, isn't it? That's another Jesus sighting. Now, one of the things that we find, and basically what we've got here is the confirmation that Sarah is going to give, Abraham and Sarah are going to bear a child. And that story has been given. It's now come direct from God in the presence of God. But it goes into Sodom and Gomorrah. And look how merciful our Father is, that he said, if you could just find 10, I would spare them. If you could just find 10, I would spare them. Isn't that a loving and merciful God? We know he's an almighty God. We know that from the previous El Shaddai. I am the almighty God in chapter 17. And now we find in chapter 18 that he is a merciful God. He said, if you can show me 10, I would spare them. Now, I don't know what the population of Sodom and Gomorrah and the surrounding towns and villages would be. But you could imagine it must be great, because it was quite the center, and I guess for trade and commerce. So just 10 people, 10 men that would be righteous, and he would have spared them all. But not 10 existed. That's how bad it was, that they couldn't even find 10 So there's the flip side of that coin. Not only is God merciful, but just look at how bad that whole area was, that they could not even find 10 righteous men amongst 2 cities and all the towns and villages that surrounded them. Could not put their hands on 10 righteous men. How bad must that place have been? And yet God was merciful. He said, if you can find 10, I'll spare them. But they couldn't, could they? I think to learn that not only do we have a Jesus sighting, not only was Sodom and Gomorrah far worse than you could ever imagine, but we see here that God is a merciful and loving God. And he does love us. And I love you too. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being patient with me. Sometimes I just cannot get them out in the morning and I have to do these videos in the afternoons. Take care. Have a great day. Stay warm, and speak to you tomorrow. Bye for now.